Hey, this is Mike from the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today we're looking at one of the games in the Coin series from GMT, Cuba Libre. So if you haven't heard of Coin before, it's a series of games that models counterinsurgencies throughout history, and Cuba Libre focuses on the Cuban Revolution when Fidel Castro and his allies overthrew the Batista regime. I've never played a Coin series game before. I did used to play quite a lot of Labyrinth, which is one of the kind of precursor designs of the guy who created the Coin series, but one of our supporters on Patreon asked if we would cover one of the games in the series, so I reached out and they sent a review copy. And one of the hallmarks of the Coin series, this is true of pretty much all the games, is that you'll have 4 different factions with kind of asymmetrical goals and asymmetrical actions, and they're all sort of allying and fighting against each other in a, kind of brawl to the death, or at least to determine who rules whatever country they're fighting over. So I also polled our Patreon supporters on which faction they wanted me to play as, and the pretty clear winner was the Directorio forces. And just to give a quick overview, now I do not know a lot of the history here besides what I've read in the game and what I learned in US history class back in the day. But basically you've got the government forces. This is Batista, the dictator who is ruling Cuba, not very popular. You've got the syndicate forces, which represents sort of mafia influence and a lot of like the American tourism industry that was heavily invested in Cuba. Then you've got 2 main insurgent factions, the 26th July faction that's led by Fidel Castro and his brother Raul, and the Directorio faction, which represents the major student-led revolution. Now, they were sort of sometimes allies, sometimes enemies. In the end, once Castro took power, he totally kind of shut them down, but here they're sort of kind of on even footing. Now, a couple quick notes before I get into the game itself. So first of all, while I'll be playing one of the factions, the other 3 are going to be controlled by the AI, and it can be kind of complicated and have lots of little rules, so I guarantee I'm going to get something wrong. So feel free to point it out in comments, but just to kind of let you know ahead of time. Secondly, even though I took some Spanish in school and am married to a Puerto Rican, I'm not very good at the Spanish pronunciation, so I'm going to do my best with the names on cards and things, but, just lend me your grace and your forgiveness. All right, with that out of the way, let's get into the setup of the game. So you can do sort of a variable deployment where you change where things start, but if you want to start with the kind of historic placement as they've defined it, they kind of tell you where everything goes. So I have it set up here. The cubes you see all over the board are the government forces. You've got dark blue for troops and light blue for police. And then all the little octagonal pieces are guerrillas for the 3 other factions. They can either be active and vulnerable with their little stars showing, or underground where they're flipped down. Each faction also has bases, which are these little circular pieces, although the only one on the board right now are some syndicate casinos. That's what their bases represent, and one 26th July base. Now for the board itself, you've got a lot of provinces. Those are these little pieces of an actual Cuban landscape. Then you've also got 3 cities, Santiago de Cuba, Camagüey, and Havana. And finally, you've got these little EC economic points that kind of represent the major exports and industry of the country. To zoom in a bit, just to show you some detail, each place has a population value. It's pretty much always 1 or 2. The only place that's different is Havana, which is 6. And also, do know that they have a nice little guide to where the units start, so if you don't want to check that little document each time, you can just use those. And each province and city will have control, or be uncontrolled if nobody's marker is on there. You control it if your pieces outnumber the combination of everybody else's pieces. So if, for example, there were 2 red guerrillas and 1 yellow guerrilla, the government would not control it because their 3 units do not exceed the total of the other units. And locations can also have support. Again, this is indicated to start by the rules, but you can have active support, which means they're for the government really heavily. Passive support, you can have no support, or like over here in Sierra Maestra, you can have active opposition or passive opposition. You also set a few other important things for setup. You set the starting resources. You'll see it for each faction's color here. And you can use these little tokens to keep track of where each faction is in terms of reaching their victory point. But honestly, you don't really need them until you get to one of the propaganda cards, which might have somebody win immediately, unless you're trying to figure out if somebody's about to reach that point. You do, though, need to put down the aid token. This is how much the US is helping out the government. It starts at 15. And also you have the US Alliance token that starts at firm. The US is really behind the regime at this point. And finally, this is a card-driven game, so you have to set up your deck. There are 52 cards, including 4 propaganda cards, and you split them into equal or about equal piles. So here we've got 12 each. Now you can play a short game, that's what I'm going to do because the game, it can be a bit long when you're controlling all the AI. I'm going to take 2 cards out of each pile, so now it's 10 cards in each pile. Then I'm going to take 1 propaganda card, put it with each, And then you'll shuffle them each up and stack them on top. So you have one propaganda card every fourth of the deck or so. And once you've shuffled, you can flip up the first card. Here we got Batista. Jeez, that's the first card. And you flip up the top card of the deck as well. And finally, you take each of the faction's markers and you put them here to say they're all eligible. We'll get to what that means in just a second. Now, for the basics of play, I'm just going to go over the kind of core mechanics of how the game works. I'm not going to go through every action because, as you can tell from this player aid, there are a lot of action types that differ quite a bit from faction to faction. And then, hey, add on to that the AI script for each faction. Yay! I'll walk you through those kind of things and how the actions work, at least in a general way. I'm not going to try to teach you the game 100%, but I'll walk you through things as I get to each action. But here's the core concept of how the game works. So the game is driven by the event cards, and here you've got two of them. One is the active event card, and then you've got one kind of on deck that you can all see. And at the top, they have an order of eligible factions. So each faction will have a chance to take a turn in this order if they're currently eligible. And right now, all four of them are. So the first eligible faction has four basic choices here. And here it was the government. They can pass and not take an action, which will get them some free resources, and resources are used for all your actions, +1 resource or +3 if you're the government, and they'll stay eligible for next turn, so they'll be able to choose whether they take an action again next time. Or you can go to one of these three boxes. So first you've got an operation. That's one of your faction's four basic actions with no special activity. Each faction has 4 actions and 4 special activities. Next option is an op with a special activity. And then finally you can resolve the event on the card, which can be good or bad for your faction. Now once the first faction acts, then the second faction can act, because each card allows up to 2 factions to act on its use. And whichever action the first faction took determines what options the second faction has. So here the Green Syndicate is after the government, so if the government used the event to make Batista flee, which I don't know why they would, then the Syndicate could only do an op with a special activity, kind of the same as this one. But if instead the government had done an op with special activity, then these guys could do a limited op, which is a action basically in only one space instead of a bunch of them, or they could do the event themselves. Whereas if the government picked this very first option with no special activity, then the other person could not do the event. So if you really don't want an event to happen, that's kind of your way to shut that down. Of course, if a faction passes, then the opportunity to choose an action goes to the next faction in the order from the card. So whichever factions took actions go to be ineligible for the next card, and anybody who passed stays eligible. Which means now when this next card comes up, the 26th July faction will be able to act first, and they would skip over the government because they're not eligible, and the Syndicate would act first. So you'll often have kind of like these double sets of people acting unless they pass. Now again, I'm not going to go through all the actions right now, but there are some fairly consistent elements. Generally speaking, when you take an action, you can affect a whole bunch of provinces or cities or economic centers. The action will define which ones are eligible. And if you're one of the non-government factions, it's generally going to cost you 1 resource, and again, your resources are up here, for each place you affect. So like if you're 26 July and you want to recruit some more insurgents, if you do it in like 3 places, you'll pay 3 resources out of your pool. The government is a little bit different in that each place they affect will cost them as many resources as their current alliance value from the US. So in the beginning of the game, they're super powerful. They can do stuff for only 2 resources, and their actions are ridiculous. But as the US turns against them, they'll eventually have to be spending 4 per place, and they will become poor very, very quickly. Now, as you saw earlier, there are 4 propaganda cards, and they're going to give the chance for the game to end early and also trigger the end game. And whenever one is drawn, you go through this whole process. Basically, everybody gets resources. First, you check if somebody won the game, and then you get a whole bunch of like different ways to support your different faction, and the army gets to like kind of move their people around. In the solo game, you can never win when a propaganda card is drawn, but if one of the AI factions has reached their victory goal, they win immediately. So you have to hold on in the solo game long enough until you have the chance to be the victor at the end of the game. And speaking of victory for each faction, they each have their own thing they're going for. So the government is all about the support of the people. So they have to have the support tokens in enough provinces and cities and places so that they have 19 support total. And how you figure out your support is you multiply it by 1 or 2 based on the token, times the population. So like Havana right now is a 6 population, that's the biggest one, times 2, that's 12 support for the government. To win, again, they have to have 19 total support across the entire board, and they have to have active support in all 3 cities. So they have to have the urban population totally with them. The Syndicate, meanwhile, is all about tourism and casinos and money, so they have to have their bases, which can be open or closed. That's a closed casino. They can never be destroyed except by the casino people themselves, but they can be closed. And if they have 8 or more open casinos out of 10, and they have at least 30 resources during a propaganda round, they win. Meanwhile, the insurgents want different kinds of control. Directorial that I'm playing actually wants to control provinces, so have the most units there. And they get points for the population of every place they control, plus 1 point for every base they have. And they need to have 10 or more points. So if I had like all 4 bases out and controlled 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like all 4 of these provinces, then I could win the game. Finally, 26 July is basically the exact opposite of the government. They have to have a lot of opposition multiplied by population plus their number of bases. They have to have at least 16. And that goes directly again against the government because they're trying to get support. And if you have opposition, you can't have support because they're kind of like the same track. Anyway, that's enough for now. Let's get into the actual game. And again, let's kind of talk you through how things work as we go. So the AI basically never passes unless they're out of money. So the government and the syndicate is going to take a turn with this card. And I won't have a chance to go until this next card when also the 26 July faction will go. So for the government, you have a series of if-then statements that'll basically tell you what actions they want to do. In very basic terms, first they want to train to protect all their cities and bases. Then they want to garrison to protect their economic centers. Then they want to sweep to find guerrillas, or if they've already found them, they want to assault to destroy them. That's the basic idea of their faction. Now, generally speaking, a faction will always take an event unless that specific event is indicated as something they won't do. Since Batista flees, the dictator running away from the country could be devastating. They're definitely not going to take that event. And you see what's indicated here, they're going to do an option special ability instead. So I put them here on option special ability, which means the syndicate could still take the event, but they're not going to. They don't want the dictator to flee either. And just kind of walk through this in a bit more detail the first few times we go through it. I'll speed up later. Do any government bases or cities not have control, troops, or police? They do, because we just started. Are there any insurgents at economic centers? No. Can they destroy 3 guerrillas with an assault? Definitely not, because the game just started and they haven't found any yet. Because in very general terms, a guerrilla can't be hurt until they've been activated, and a base can't be hurt until all the matching guerrillas are off that space. So that means the government is going to sweep. So sweeping's main point is to activate guerrillas so they can be destroyed later. So he's going to select spaces where there are 26 July or My Directorial guerrillas, places with support for the government, Havana the city, or where there are already cubes to attack them. Now sweep only lets troops, the dark blue cubes, move 1 space adjacent. So here they're looking for places where they have support, where they already have cubes, or the city of Havana. So they're going to sweep in Santiago de Cuba, where 26 July guerrilla is. Havana, where my guerrillas are, that sucks. And adjacent to their troops, La Habana, that's got support, so they're also going to sweep the 26 July guy there. Now, even though they are adjacent to cities that they could move from, both Sierra Maestra and Camagüey have oppositions, so they're not going to sweep there. So since they swept in 3 spaces, that's going to cost them 6 resources, because right now it's 2 times the number of actions they did. Now, in a sweep, you'll flip to active as many guerrillas in the location as you have cubes. So here, even if there were 4 guerrillas, I'd flip them all. So Santiago de Cuba flips. And they can move as many troops, not police, as they want to adjacent spaces. And the AI says move in enough to control the space if they can. But they, of course, won't lose control. So in La Habana, there's 2 pieces. They're going to move 3 troops in. And that'll give the government full control of that place where the casino is. And that's the only movement they need to do to make these sweeps. So they'll just flip all the guerrillas in each of these places. Then they get to use one of their 3 special activities. I think I'd said each faction has 4 before, but it's actually only 3. The government ones are transport, which lets them move troops from cities and bases into the countryside. Reprisal, which lets them get rid of opposition in a place and move some guerrillas out. And airstrike, which can just straight up blow up a revealed guerrilla or an exposed base. Now again, this walks you through it. So first you'll try to airstrike. Now an airstrike can only target a province or an EC. You can't bomb your own cities. So here they're going to blow up the only guerrilla they can reach, which is the 26 July guy in La Habana. And except for one exception, which is a syndicate special activity, none of the special activities cost any resources. You can usually just do one thing in one space. So that was it for the government. They definitely exposed a lot of people, put them in danger. Next up is our Mafia Syndicate friends. And they like the dictator, they like the status quo, so they also don't want Batista to flee. So they're going to do a limited op, which would normally only be in one location, but one perk of being an AI-controlled player is that they can always do the full op with special activity. They're never limited to not being able to do that. So to quickly run through the basics of the syndicate, they can rally more guerrillas, usually try to protect their casinos. They can march guerrillas around to try to take over economic centers and make more money. They can construct more casinos, or if they don't do any of that, they will rarely engage in some terror to kind of get rid of support or opposition to keep the status quo. So in this case, they definitely want to rally because currently their casinos are endangered. While they can't be destroyed entirely, they can be closed. So they're going to place one guerrilla in every space where there's a casino and no guerrillas yet. So that's pretty easy. It's these three places. Kind of the government and syndicate forces are mostly on the west side of things. And that cost them 3 resources because they did it in 3 places. Again, non-government factions generally pay 1 for each place they do something. And they'll place 1 guerrilla in each place that will guard the casino for now. Although I will note that generally speaking, casinos are also guarded by cubes. The police and the soldiers don't want to let the casinos get closed down either. Now, after they rally to try to profit, which is placing some cash down on places that open casinos, basically the guerrillas will hold it. We can fight over it and try to take it from them. But when the propaganda card comes up, it's worth a ton of resources or a free building. So the priority for placing a cash, it has to be a person at a place with an open casino, and they want to give it to their own guys if possible. They're always going to put it at a place with no enemies, like Pinar del Rio has. And then they'll also try to put it at a place that doesn't already have any cash. Now, a lot of times in the game, you'll have a tie, like here, La Habana and Havana. Neither of them has cash, and both of them have enemies. So you can just roll a die. 1, 2, 3 will be Havana. 1, 4, 5, 6 would be La Habana. There we go. So this guerrilla will get that. All right, so Batista flees is over because 2 factions took a turn. Both of them become ineligible, but we're still eligible. Now we get Larrazabal active, and Herbert Matthews with his interview is the next card. So 26 July is the first eligible faction that can act. And remember, they usually want to do the event first if it makes sense. And it'll have, you can kind of see around the DR, a little circle around it if they don't like the event or have special text with it. But here's just normal. It says, place a 26 July base where there is a 26 July piece. And that's pretty simple. With their other guerrilla knocked out, the only place they have is Sierra Maestra. The stacking limit is 2 bases per place, not counting casinos. They have their own separate limit of 2 casinos per space. And that was it for 26 July. Pretty quick when you do the event. We'll see their actions later. It does mean I have my first chance. I can do a full operation with a special activity. Now, I could instead choose to pass so that I could be ready for the next card, but you'll see both the Syndicate and the government will go before me on the next card, so I don't even get a chance to go, so I might as well use a turn here. So I'll plot myself on over, and then let's see what my action options are. Now, I'll go into a little bit more detail here since this is my faction, and I'll be doing a lot more with it. So first, like all the other non-government factions, I can rally. Big thing is I like places that aren't really opposed and for 26 July or really supportive of the government. I try to go for the neutral. So I can only rally at neutral or passive places, not places with active support or opposition. And I can either place 1 guerrilla or I can change 2 guerrillas into a base. And then if I already have a base, I can either flip my guerrillas face down so I could protect the guys in Havana, but of course I can't do that right now. Or I can recruit a whole bunch. I would recruit as many guerrillas as the population of the space, plus the number of bases there. I could march guerrillas to adjacent spaces, although they might get activated if they go into a place with too many cubes or move in too big numbers. I can attack in spaces and try to blow up people there, although it will expose my guerrillas and put them in danger. And then finally, I can terrorize to try to take away support or opposition. So looking here, currently I've just got 1 guerrilla controlling Camagüey, nobody's there, and I've got 2 activated guerrillas in Havana, which means they are in deep trouble. I could march them into La Habana, but they'd still be surrounded by troops and still easy pickings to get destroyed. I could also attack with them, but I'd have to roll a 1 or 2 on a d6 die, not good chances. Usually I could use the special operation to ambush, which would make the attack automatic, but that only works if they are underground. Right now they're exposed, it isn't going to work. I also can't do terror here to get rid of the active support because they have to again be underground to make it happen. So I think the obvious choice here is to rally some more troops. Remember, I can only do that where there is passive support or opposition. So I think it makes sense in Oriente. That would give me control of it and a bunch of population. And also Matanzas. I could put another one in Camagüey and set myself up for a base later. I could also go to Santiago de Cuba or Camagüey, the city, but there's lots of police there. It seems kind of dangerous. And note that I am the poorest faction to start. I only have 5 resources, so I don't want to kind of go crazy here. But what the heck, I will add 1 more guy here and set myself up for a base hopefully later, because that lets me get guys a lot more quickly. So it's going to cost me 3 resources. And then since I don't have a base to recruit more quickly, I just get a single guerrilla in each of them. And let's not forget, I gain control in each of these spaces. Yay for me. And the only special activity I can do with Rally is Subvert, but this is great. It gets me resources and gets rid of support or opposition. So I can only pick a place that I control. It's a province. And I get to gain that province's population as resources and also make the province neutral. So there's a clear choice. Oriente has 2 population, the most out of the places I control. So it's no longer opposing for the 26 July faction. And I gain 2 resources back. So almost where I started, even though I have a bunch more guys. All right, good little turn for us. We're both ineligible, and the government and the syndicate is back. All right, so Herbert Matthews is now the active card, and we got Eulogio Cantillo coming up. And I didn't say, but the government and syndicate generally like the shaded events, and the insurgents generally like the unshaded. So this is a reporter that interviewed Fidel Castro and really embarrassed the government. But here we're going to do the more positive version, the syndicate is, and get plus 10 aid. That means the U.S. will give the government way more money. Oh, but I get plus 3 resources, and the syndicate gets plus 5. So basically everyone except 26 July benefits. So aid is all the way up to 25. That is huge. Syndicate goes to 15, and I go to 7. Thank you. Right, that was an event, so the government's going to do a regular op and special activity. Now again, they're going to train if they lost control of the city. They haven't. There's nobody in an economic center, so they're not going to garrison. And this time they can remove 3 guerrillas, sadly, because they've got 1, 2, 3 exposed. So they're going to assault and attack us. Now, assault specially says do special activity before the assault. They would try to airstrike, but note that nobody is exposed in the provinces, only in the cities. So since there is none, they'll skip to reprisal. But basically they want to do that on places with opposition, and they don't have anybody in places with opposition. So they'll skip to transport, and they'll move some troops out, which probably won't be good for me. I bet they'll take one of my provinces. So they want to go from a city with the most troops more than they need to control it. So there's 4 other units here, which means 2 of these troops are extra. One of this troop is extra since they have full control, and both of these troops are extra. So we'll roll. 1, 2, 3 is Havana, 4, 5, 6 is Santiago. Okay, so the troops are coming from here. And their first priority is to go to a province that will remove enemy control. So they could go to Pinar del Rio to get rid of syndicate control, or any of my 3 places. So when they have more than 3 places to decide between, and the die roll won't suffice, they have this nice little chart that kind of starts you off and then just goes down the island. So here, okay, we've got 5, 4. So that means Santiago de Cuba. And from there, they're going to go to Oriente. Darn, my favorite place. So they take my control away, the jerks. You know, I'm silly. I forgot to expose the syndicate guerrilla because they'll target them as well with their sweeps. So they're going to assault here and here. That's 2 spaces times 2, 4 resources. Brings them down to 5. They're getting a bit poor. And generally speaking, the government never needs to roll. They just kill 1 guy for each cube there. So that guy's gone. And over here, all 3 of these guys are gone, including the syndicate guerrilla. But the AI will pretty much never close casinos down during an assault, so they're going to leave that alone. All right, they're done. We're eligible again. All right, so Eulogio Cantillo becomes active, and Carlos Prio, the former president, is our next card. And let's see, 26 July will go first. So the event is select a space with troops. A faction free marches all its guerrillas out, then flips them underground. That would have been great if they had saved my guys a second ago. Now, AI factions will always choose themselves for event effects if they can, but here they can't because they don't have any places with their guerrillas and troops. So the only options are the guerrilla with cash over here in La Habana and my guerrilla in Oriente. And it's just a random roll, so 1, 2, 3 will be them, 4, 5, 6 is me, darn it. And the AI generally wants to march into ECs if they can, so these guerrillas are going to be messing with and skimming off the production of cigarettes. Alright, so that's it. Their event only helped the syndicate. But I can take a full turn, but let's wait and look at that other event card. If I pass, I'm going to have first priority here. Let's see what it can do for me. President returns from exile. Select a space without government control. Place a DR base there and set it to neutral. Ooh. Now, if I'm not active... Yeah, the syndicate and the government won't activate either of these because they don't like this president guy at all. But yeah, I can get a free base, and I won't have to spend anything. It seems pretty good. So I think I'm going to pass this turn, and that'll give me that next turn. I don't know. I guess a free base isn't that amazing. And again, the next card, they're not going to do any other event against me. So maybe I'll just take the op and special activity, and then I'll be able to go in 2 cards. So let's see my choices. I could rally again. Ooh, or I could attack here. So now that I've got a guy who's underground, I can use the ambush special activity with the attack. And I get to flip this guy and just kill these 2 automatically and get a free extra guerrilla there and regain control. I mean, that's got to be the obvious option. So that's just 1 resource since I'm only doing 1 space. Not shown, but that brings me down to 6. These troops are gone. I get a free guy. And this resource-rich space is mine again. Hooray. Yeah, I like how that worked out. We don't have to worry about the president. And so again, this event is going to be totally ignored by the syndicate and the government. They're just going to take a turn. But next turn, we're eligible again. Oh, Che Guevara. So yeah, 26 July is going to definitely grab him, but they won't do anything that turn. They'll just do the event. So I should be able to do a nice action again. Cool. So since neither of them cares about the event, the syndicate is going to take an action. And pretty simple this time. They're going to rally again because they lost their guarding guerrillas in 2 spaces. So that's 2 resources. 1 more guerrilla in each spot. That means they're going to do their little cash action again, and they want to put it with guerrillas where there isn't any cash already, so that's going to be there and there. But I might need to work to blow up some casinos because they can turn all that cash into extra bases. Then the government's going to get a full turn as well. They don't need a train. They don't need a garrison because they only care about 26 July and DRs at economic centers because the syndicate won't blow them up. They'll just gain some money from them as well. So it looks like they're sweeping again. We don't like that. So let's see. They want spaces with my guerrillas or 26 July guerrillas. But only if they already have cubes there, if it's Havana, or they already have support there. So everything's neutral opposition where I am and where red is, so they're not going to sweep at all. So if they look to assault again, we clearly know they can't. So they're actually just going to pass and get 3 money back. So I guess they will be eligible next turn. Let's show you our relative resources. They're up to 8 again, so they can do up to 4 actions at their 2 cost. And yeah, I'm actually still behind, but not terribly. All right, 3 of us are eligible. Interesting, only the syndicate is out. Oh man, that means the government's going to skip me, because after the 26 July gets El Che, then they're going to go. And then Fat Butcher will be up, and the syndicate will go. Well, all right. So a lot of the events are these insurgent capabilities. They basically give a bonus that persists for the entire game. So for the entire rest of the game, the first time 26 July marches in a round, all their guerrillas will go underground. So that just goes on the board, and that's it for the event for them. Meanwhile, the government's going to see if it has something to do. Wait, good crud. I just checked the rules, and they do have a then elsewhere distinction in the rules when they sweep, so let's rewind back a bit. We won't get Che yet, and we'll say they did take a turn, last turn to sweep. So if they don't have that 3 extra money, they could sweep in 2 places, and they have to be adjacent to troops. They can only go to Matanzas and Camagüey, but they don't want to lose control, so let's see. They've got 2 troops that can move in there, and 1 that can move in there, or all 3 of them can move in there. So I guess we'll roll for it. 1, 2, 3 will be Matanzas. 4, 5, 6 will be Camagüey. Okay. So these 2 guys will go in there. Oh, wait, I'm wrong. Their first priority is activating all the guerrillas. So they're going to go like this to activate everybody and not worry about the fact that they can't control the spaces yet. But I do lose control in all of them. And yeah, they expose everybody. This is not great. But at least happily that does take them down to not enough money to do an operation, so they can't attack me yet. But they are going to airstrike me, and they prefer a place where there is a last gorilla, so they're going to blow up my guy there. And then they're just locking in control all over the West. All right, now back to things as they were. We are going to get El Che. And let's see, on the next card, I won't even get to go, so I'll certainly take a regular operation special activity. And I could attack them. And I could try to do terror, but I think I'm going to rally some more guys. Let's see, let's do 1 here. That would give me enough to get a base next time and still have a gorilla there to guard it. Do 1 here. That'll give me control, which is nice. And hey, maybe 1 in Las Villas. It's got 2 instead of 1, and mountains are harder for the government to defeat guerrillas in, so I'd be a little bit more safe. So sure, that's 3 places I placed in. So I'm down to 3 resources. Now I can subvert. I have to choose a place I control. So I could either get 2 resources here or get 1 here, but make it neutral instead of opposition. But opposition hurts the government, and I think the government's doing better than 26 July right now, so I'll just get the 2 resources, bring me back up to 5. All right, back to our friends. So Fat Butcher is active. Oh, and there's our first propaganda card. So after we finish this thing, we're going to resolve and see what happens. Right, so the syndicate does do the event. It says they free ambush, which is something they can't usually do, but here they'll get to flip one of their guerrillas and kill 2 guys with one of its underground guerrillas and opens 1 closed casino, though there aren't any of those. Now, the special gray text said they would target a player if possible, but luckily I don't share any spaces with them. So they could attack the troops here or the people in Havana. Let's roll for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so Havana is getting ambushed. So this guy flips up, and he'll blow up both a troop and a police officer. They like to split it whenever they have a choice in who they target. And that was free for them, and they would open a casino, but they don't have any, and now the government's going to go. And the government would love to blow up all the guerrillas they revealed, but sadly for them, they don't have enough resources. So instead, they'll just pass and get 3 resources back, bringing them to 4. Well, the propaganda is going to make all of us eligible again in a second, so that's great. So Fat Butcher's done. We get a propaganda card, and then Radio Rebelde coming up next. So first we check for victory. So let's see, the government's looking for support, and they've got 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, which is what they started with. And they need 19 or more in all the cities to be active. Definitely not there. 26 July, opposition has 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 2 bases, 6, and they need 16. No way. I need to control 10 population, including bases, and I control 3, but remember, as a player, I couldn't win right now anyway. The syndicates have 3 open casinos. They need 8 or more and 30 plus resources. Definitely not there. Next we go into resources. So first, the government's going to get the value of all the unsabotaged economic centers plus their current aid. This is a lot. It's 8 for the economic centers plus 25 aid. Oh my gosh, 33. So they'll be all the way up to 37. 26 July just gains as much as its bases, so they're up to 12. I gain 1 for each place I'm in, so I want to spread out. I probably could have done that more. I'm up to 8. And Syndicate gets money if they have more guerrillas than police in a city. They don't. But also if they have more than police in an EC, they get that much. So they get 3 here for the cigarettes. And they get 2 for each open casino. So that's 6 more, so that's 9 total. Now, next, factions that control a location with an open casino skim $2 off the casino's resources. So the government has that in 2 places. So they go up to 41. And the Syndicate goes down to 18. I know this is going to be great for the Syndicate and terrible for all of us. All of their cash can be turned into 6 resources or bases, and they want bases. Remember, they can fit 2 casinos in each location, regardless of other bases. So it uses up all their cash, but man, they were sitting pretty good. They took away government control over here. All right, now, good one for us in 26 July. If the U.S. alliance, the government does not have 18 or more support, 19 or more, then they take their alliance down 1 and they lose 10 aid. So it's pretty big. Now it's going to cost them 3 for every action space they do, and their aid's back down to 15. So it should hopefully run down their crazy number of resources at least a little bit more quickly. All right, now the government gets to do an important thing called civic action. In every space that they control and they have police in and they have troops in, they can increase the support toward active support by spending resources. But interestingly enough, they don't have any places like that except for Havana, and they already have active support there, so they can't improve it anywhere else because there's no troops here, no troops there, no police there. Then 26 July can do the opposite of that, agitation. They can make it be more opposed if they control a place, but again, nothing. They already have full opposition where they control. And then I get a free rally in one space that is not controlled by anybody else and is neutral or passive. So I could go to Las Villas and take control, but I could also do a rally where I remove 2 guys and gain a base. Yeah, let's do that in Oriente. I'll take away 2 of my guerrillas and get 1 of my bases, bring me closer to victory, and let me that'll also let me recruit a lot faster. Now, before we get into the next part of the game, the government gets to redeploy. Now, the big thing with this is that the troops cannot hang out in the countryside unless they have a base there. They can't just deploy in the jungle or the forest or the mountains forever. Now, they can move police in to kind of keep the control the troops had. So Matanzas and La Habana they can do, but they can't do Camagüey or Las Villas. They're actually going to leave there, and I'm going to have full control in a second. So they take police where they're the most, but they're going to need all of them. And they're going to go there, and then 3... Oh, wait, actually, they don't have control there either. Never mind, because the casino got rid of it, so they're just gone from there. So we'll just take 1 from Havana and go to Matanzas. Then they also want to have police on each city and each base, but they already do. And then the soldiers will be freely distributed to have them as even as possible and also maintain control. So they need 1 more to keep control here away from the syndicate. Let's see, we got 2. All right, so 3 soldiers in each city. So yeah, I'm looking a lot prettier all of a sudden. And lastly, we reset. So everybody goes back to eligible. All guerrillas flip back to underground. Yay for me. Oh, you know what? I forgot. They had some cash on the EC. They couldn't build a base there, but they could get 6 resources. So they're up to 24. All right, so that was 1 whole campaign, 1 whole propaganda card's worth. So you can move that out to show how many have acted. We have Radio Rebelde coming and Pact of Caracas. Ooh, this is a nice one. It lets me and the 26th of July player basically become allies with each other. So I might want to do that so they can't hurt me, although they haven't yet. So I don't know if it's worth my entire turn to do. But here we're doing Radio Rebelde. Looks like 26th July is going to activate the event, and then the Syndicate will take a turn. 26 July has not done anything except events so far, which is kind of funny. So they're going to shift 2 provinces, each 1 level toward active opposition. Now for tiebreakers and this kind of stuff, they want to have the biggest effect on the opposition or the support. Remember, that's multiplied by populations. They're going to do it in the two population places that I control. And the Syndicate is going to do something terrible because they are definitely doing well. So first they want to protect their casinos. They have. Then they want to get to ECs, but they're already there. So then they want to construct. It's going to cost them 5 resources for each casino they build. So they're going to build only 1 since they don't have more than 35 resources. Now they normally prefer to put them where they already have a casino, but that's not possible because they have the max of 2 in each of their spaces. So otherwise they just want to put it in a government controlled or syndicate controlled space. So here they have 1, 2, 3 options. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And okay, it'll be Santiago de Cuba. When they open a new casino, it does start out closed. And again, that costs them 5, so they're down to 19, but still pretty rich. So they're both ineligible. Now we can do the Pact of Caracas, which just stays in play. And basically, we can't hurt each other's units. So I could do the event here because I'll be first. Let's see what just popped up next. Oh, Echeverria is my main leader, crud. Let's see, if I take my turn, then the government will do an action. Then, yeah, if none of us is eligible, oh man, the syndicate will do an action next. And they'll definitely do the bad one for me. Remove the 2 DR, that's me, pieces closest to Havana, and we lose 3 resources? No. Whereas if we activate this as first player, place 2 DR guerrillas anywhere, Havana to neutral, DR to eligible. Oh my gosh, I would get another turn. Wait a second. Oh, that's right. If I execute this event and I do the Pact of Caracas, I stay eligible for the next card. So I can do this event, stay eligible, do this event, stay eligible, and take a turn next time. So, okay, I'm going to do the event for this. So there we go. Pact of Caracas is in effect. Although one of us can get rid of 2 of its bases at once to take away this effect, but I'm not going to do that. And the government will take a turn, but then I'll be eligible again next turn. So the government does control all of their cities, so they're not going to recruit. So the government's not going to train, not going to garrison. I guess they're going to sweep again. All right, so first choice will be here from Camagüey, and then they'll also come in here from Santiago. So let's see, they want to move enough troops in to reveal all the guerrillas and to take control if they can, but here clearly they can't here. So that'll be 2 guys. And here I'm not sure how many they move in, because since I'm in a forest, they'll only reveal 1 for every 2 troops. So they can only reveal 1 of my guys max. So I'm not sure if they would send 2 or 3 in. Well, let's play that they don't like me, and they'll take away my control and just reveal 1 for now. It was 2 sweeps, and now things cost 3 each for them, so they are down to 35. Now for their special activity, they're going to airstrike. And they prefer 26 July over me unless I'm about to win, so there we go. So they're not eligible, but I am along with those guys. That's good, again, because Echeverria is active, and I'm going to get to use that event. And I'll stay active for next turn, although it doesn't look like I will get a turn necessarily. So I'm going first. I can place 2 DR guerrillas anywhere. Havana will become neutral, and I'll be eligible for next turn still. I'm getting worried about the syndicate being too powerful. I think I'm going to jump over to Pinar del Rio and try to blow up that guerrilla and take out some of their bases here. And then they lose support in Havana, which is devastating. Now they will have no way of getting the U.S. on their side. Okay, and then it looks like the syndicate's going to take a turn. And they've changed back to wanting to rally because they do have an unprotected casino. So they'll go and spend 1 resource to put a guy there. Then they want to put down 2 cash. They're going to put in the place with no enemies. And then they'll roll off for the rest. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, darn, I was hoping to be with me, but it's in Havana. All right, I'm back, and so is the government. Only the syndicate is out. I'm not going to get to do much, since clearly the government and then the 26th July are going to go. Oh, and hey, I think we're finally going to have the 26th July take an actual turn, because the government's going to use the event first. So this is what's called a government momentum card. It stays around kind of like the syndicate's little insurgent capability tokens. But the difference is it only lasts until the next propaganda card comes out, and then it goes away. But it will mean before assaulting, move troops to assault spaces from other spaces. Oh my gosh. So they can like move in and attack in the same turn. That's pretty scary. So we'll put that kind of next to the board, and it does change how the AI acts. They've got like little extra things to consider when those are in play. All right, and then 26th July was next, and hey, they're going to do a turn. So we've never seen this before, but they like to terrorize. But they're not going to right now because they want to shift opposition, but they already have opposition in the only space they are. Oh, and they can't terrorize anyway because that guy is not underground. So instead, as makes sense, they are going to rally. So first they're going to activate places where they have all active guerrillas and a base. So they're going to spend 1 to flip that guy. Then they want to also rally at every place with a base or guerrilla and then 1 random space. Now it's kind of silly. They should rally a lot more, but hey, that's just how the AI goes. So they're down to 11. It's going to be another 10 for the random space. We roll for it. Now they can only go to an opposition space, so we'll just move along the little randomizer until we get one. 4-4. So 4-4 starts at Santiago de Cuba. And sorry, I said it wrong. They want to be where there is no support, and there isn't there. So hey, wow, that means the government just lost control. All right, on to the next card. Here comes back the syndicate. And they'll first go with Raul Castro's card. And Rebel Air Force is coming up. But yeah, I don't think I'll have a chance to get it, so I'm not going to worry about it. But it looks like they'll just help out the government with another momentum. Until the next propaganda, add to aid twice any resources from kidnaps. So whenever, you haven't seen it yet, but 26 July likes to kidnap people to get more money. And whenever they do that now, they're going to give aid to the government. And speaking of, I forgot to do the special activity for the 26 July last turn. With a rally action, we get to infiltrate, which means they get to turn a cube into one of their guerrillas. And none of the priorities applies. We're just going to roll 1, 2, 3 for Sierra Maestra and 4, 5, 6 for Santiago de Cuba. Oh, and there we go. So we like to take away police first, and they get another guerrilla there. So, man, the government's really in trouble in that space. All right, the syndicate did Raul. And again, I might as well take another turn because the 26th July will have first crack at this before I will. So what am I going to do? Now, if I want to mess with the government and the syndicate, I could do a terror action here. That would change this from active support to passive support. And then I could do an assassinate special activity, which would either kill this troop or turn one of their casinos to closed. Basically, that's possible if I have more guerrillas than they have police, and there are no police over here. Of course, I could also do an attack action, and like over here, do the ambush, just flip the guy over and automatically defeat 2 of those troops before they can mess with me. Or I could rally and subvert. I could add a bunch of guys here. It'd be bases plus populations. That'd be 3 more guerrillas there. I could get 2 more resources. Yeah, I guess there's no hurry on the terror over here. I just want to get those closed before the next propaganda card comes up. So let's go and recruit in Oriente, in Camagüey, I guess. And I'm about to get some more resources, so sure, we can do Las Villas as well. Heck, I could even jump in here or in here, but that seems kind of silly. It'll cost me 3 resources. I'm down to 5, but I'm about to get 2 back. Now here I'll just get 1 gorilla. Here I'll get 3 because of my base. And then here, I could actually get a base, although, I'd be further from control. They'd have control then. But it would let me recruit more quickly, and I could take this guy as one of the 2 gorillas that goes away to build the base, so I wouldn't be exposed anymore. So yeah, let's do this. There we go. So in terms of winning, I need bases plus controlled population. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from bases. Only 4 from victory. But again, I have to wait until the entire game's over. All right, we're ineligible, and they're back. Which means 26th July is going to have first chance at Rebel Air Force, and the government will go. And our new on deck is Faure Chomon. Oh, I think it's a good one for me. Yeah, place a base and 2 guerrillas in Las Villas. We already have a lot of guys there, but I'll probably use that one. So with the Rebel Air Force event, they're going to get a free ambush in some place. And since it's pretty much even here, let's go ahead and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and Santiago de Cuba. And they want to do the most effect possible, so they're going to destroy both of these guys. And that does flip them. And then they get another guy, so oh my gosh. 26th July is just taking control of one of the 3 cities. Huge. Not sure how the syndicate is feeling about all that. Let's see how the government responds. So an action we haven't seen them do yet is training. That puts down more troops and police and also lets them build bases. And they'll do that if they lack control in a city or base, or if they don't have troops or police in a city or base, and they don't have troops here. They're going to choose cities where they don't have control, and then they're going to choose places where they don't have troops or don't have police. And they also are looking to build a base in a province where they have 3 or more guys, which is in Camagüey. That's not great for me. So that'll cost them 9, which is the max they'll spend on any one action. So that brings them down to 26. They're still pretty high up there. They put troops and police evenly when they can, so there we go. And here we go. So 26 July has lost control, but they haven't regained it. Now, something I didn't say before, closed casinos don't count for control. So there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 other units. So if they had 1 more police or troop there, they'd regain control of that city. And then finally, they can put down their first base, which will let troops stay there, and also lets them now next time train straight in there. So if I can't blow that up, I'm not in a good place. Well, that's it for that card. Moving us back. So we've got Faure Chomon. I activate the event. Students take to the field. DR 26 July places a base and 2 guerrillas in Las Villas, which would give me a pretty strong position right there. And the opposite one is remove a DR piece or replace it with its 26 July counterpart. And the upcoming card is Rodriguez Loeches. Oh man, another good one for me. And let's see, the government will be active, so what will they do? Remove 1 DR guerrilla and I lose 5 resources? Here's the other thing, I really want to do an ambush here and I can kill that base before it gets a chance to do anything else. So if I don't do that and they recruit, they're going to get 4 more guys in here. So even though a free base and 2 guerrillas is pretty huge, I think I should attack them. Although wait, if they do the event and totally mess me up, then they won't be attacking me, but I won't have any money to actually do anything. What if I waited and passed this turn and then did this event myself? Place 1 guerrilla anywhere, and then free marches to rallies or ambushes there. Oh, so I could just put a free guerrilla down and then blow them up if I passed on this card and just let the syndicate take it. So yeah, that seems better than zeroing out my resources, so sadly I'm going to pass. That gives me 1 resource back, up to 6. Now it does say they do the event, which is bad for me. They get to remove 1 of my pieces for free. They're always going to pick a base if they can. So we'll just roll for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, darn, they just took the 1 that I built. All right, so they are out. All of us are back. I got my event ready. And another one where I would be first. Are you serious? Remove a directorial base? Why are they putting all my good events in a row so that I'm going to get destroyed by some of them? Well, I'm still going to do this before the government can totally mess me up. I'm just going to do the event. I can put a free guerrilla anywhere. I'll go here. And then I'll ambush for free, and I'll kill both the troop and the base since there's nobody to guard it when I remove my second piece. Since it was an ambush, I get another guy. Next, the government's going to go. Oh, man, you know what I think I forgot to do? Yeah, I forgot to do this special activity, which would have been a transport from their training last time. But they're going to train again, so we'll resolve it then. All right, so I'm going to go here first because there's no government control. Gosh, it says at a place with 2 guys and no base. Are we really going to put it right there where they can blow it up? I guess so. So that costs them 6. They're down to 20. And I got a bunch more guys here, so they will have control there now. And then here, they'll remove 2 guys and get a base. Better there than on me. Okay, now they are going to transport from the city with the most troops more than they need to control it. So here there's 4 guys, not counting the casino since it's closed. So that means we have 3 more troops than we need. That would still leave us with 5 guys. And here we have 2 more troops than we need, so yeah, they're going to move from here. So 3 troops are going to move out. And their province is a place with police, but no troops. I guess they don't care about their own base, so they'll go over to there. All right. Ooh, you know, maybe 26 July will do the event and not hurt me first. Santo Traficante Jr., I think he's a syndicate guy, so hopefully that won't affect me as much. So 26 July event. And yeah, there's no special highlight, which means they do it before the syndicate goes. And they're going to do the nice one. They're going to place a DR Guerrilla and base in either Camagüey Province or Oriente. And I'm pretty strong in both of those, so we'll just roll for it. So 1, 2, 3 will be Camagüey. So a Guerrilla and a base right back in it. And the Syndicate will do some nasty stuff, I'm sure. See, they have Guerrillas on all their bases. And they can't march to an economic center. Now, they'll only construct if there's more closed and available casinos than cash on the map. There's 2 cash on the map right now, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 closed and available casinos, so they will construct. So we're spending 5 more, down to 13. They're going to build another closed casino over here. Now the government control is back, they can do that. And they're going to do cash again. Now let's do it on both their guerrillas that can hold it. Ooh, now I can assassinate that guy and take the money for myself. On active, I think that's definitely what I'll do, right? Santo Traficante Jr., and then a general strike. Let's see, the events for this one. Syndicate resources -10, all syndicate guerrillas to active. That's not bad. I don't know if I want to use my whole action for that. Or old time mobster. Any underground syndicate guerrillas block skim. The government won't do that, so it's either going to be me doing that or nothing happening. But yeah, I really love the idea of assassinating over here and getting the cash, so I think I'm probably going to do that. Other option would be to pass and be ready to do the general strike because the government won't be available. So what's it do? In each city, shift 1 level toward neutral and place any 1 guerrilla. And that would not be bad. Let's see if a syndicate gets a chance to do it. Set a city to active support. I'm sure they do Havana. Activate all guerrillas there. That wouldn't hurt me. Open any 1 closed casino. That's pretty good for them. So I can act now and steal the cash or use my turn to do the general strike. I mean, all the cities are pretty much neutral anyway, so really just put my guys down where they probably get found and killed. So yeah, let's just take the regular turn. So I'll do I want the, yeah, I need the special activity because that's the assassination I'm going to do. Now I could terrorize here or here to move the passive opposition into neutral, but 26 July is not winning right now, so I don't really care that much about that. So I think I'd rather just terrorize here. It does flip 1 guy to active. I have to spend 1 resource. And then the important thing is my special activity is to assassinate if I have more guys than police. I certainly do. And I can choose anybody here, so I could get the casino, but I want to steal their cash. I'll put it on my underground guy. Now, if I'm still holding that, when the next propaganda card comes up, I can either build a free base with it or get 6 resources with it. Let's not forget this goes to passive support, so now I can actually recruit there, and there's a terror marker placed. That basically makes it harder for the government to improve the support there. All right, the government just ignores the event. And, oh, they're going to keep on training, aren't they? Because they definitely don't have control at their base there. So they'll be doing it there, and, oh, they're going to build a new base over there. That's, once again, 6 more resources. And they're almost out of police, but they certainly have a lot of guys on the board. They take control of the big stronghold, and they're going to build a base here. They prefer to take away troops for the 2 if they can. So that's both their bases now. They have pretty good control of the provinces. Now they want to transport from the city with the most extra troops, which is going to be here. I'm not sure the syndicate is not in control here anymore. So they want to go to the province with the most active guerrillas, which unfortunately is going to be one of mine. They want to take away control if they can, which is impossible at either place. Gain control if they can, which is impossible at either place. So we're just going to roll off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're in Casa del Rio protecting those casinos, the jerks. All right, here comes our general strike, although the syndicate's going to get first crack at it. They will certainly do the event to help out business. So strikes fail, shops open. So set a city to active support and activate all guerrillas there, and then open any one closed casino. So they're making the government very happy, bringing Havana back in, although they will expose their own guerrilla, interestingly. And they get to open a closed casino. Only one is over here. Man, they're really close to their victory condition. All right, but here comes 26 July. All right, now they want to do a terror because they can shift opposition here, and they can also kidnap from the casino, which you'll see in a second. So this will be the only place they do it for one resource, because again, they can't really affect this with terror. They flip one guy to be exposed. They bring this to passive opposition and put a terror marker to mess with the government's control. Oh, crud, they can't actually kidnap here. They don't have more guys than police there. So they'll still do the terror because they want to shift the opposition, but that's all they do, unfortunately. They would have stolen the cash from the syndicate, which I would have loved. All right, on to the next card. This one the government will get the first crack at. It's Turismo. Oh, and then another propaganda will be halfway through the game. All right, so let's see. Support one level toward neutral each casino space. They don't want that. So they're going to do the event. Government and syndicate each add +3 resources per space with an open casino and police. So that'd be Havana and Santiago. That would be +6 resources for both of them. But I do get a final turn before the propaganda card hits. Let me check real quick. There's no way the government's going to have enough support. Is there 12, 13, 14, 15? No, so they're going to still lose more aid, which means they won't be able to airstrike anymore. They'll get less money, and it'll cost 4 points for each action they do. Ooh, I have a good idea. If I march into these ECs, I get to sabotage them for free during the propaganda round, which would take away a bunch of the government's money. Because all my guys are about to go underground from the propaganda. I could even just spread them out all over the place because I get 1 resource for each place I'm in. I could go over to Camagüey. Let's go a little crazy. I have 5 resources to play with here. So first of all, it costs nothing to go to ECs. So that's actually going to be free to activate those for moving into. But I don't want to go to that one because I'm going to build a free base here. Although I guess my 1 guerrilla will protect it. So sure, that's free as well. But then yeah, let's get a little wacky with it. We can go 1 there. We can go into Camagüey City. So that's 2 out of 5 resources. I can go to Sierra Maestra, join our friends there. That's 3 resources. And yeah, we'll stop there. Brings us down to 2 resources. Now, when you march, if the place you're marching to has support and the total of the people you're moving plus the number of cubes there is greater than 3, then you are immediately activated when you move in. They see you, but it's not going to matter because we're all going to hide in a second. So let's see, I'll move 1 guy into Camagüey. I think that's all I need. I'll move 1 guy into the mountains. I'll move 1 guy over here. Ooh, can I take away government control? If I move 2 guys in here, I can. So sure, let's do that. We'll move 1 guy in here, but leave 2 with the base. Move 1 guy in here, and move our guy without cash over to here. And yeah, a lot of these would be activated, but again, doesn't really matter. Then we can subvert in any place we control, so let's do it. Let's see, I guess both Oriente and Las Villas are pretty close to things. Oriente is a stronger place with the base, so let's do Las Villas. So we'll get rid of the opposition there, and we'll gain 2 resources. All right, let's do a propaganda card. So first, checking victory. We already saw that the government is far from the support it needs. The syndicate is doing pretty darn well. They've got 2, 4, 6, 7 open casinos. They would need 1 more, and they would need more than 30 resources. They don't have that. 26 July is not doing great. Let's see, it's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 opposition, plus 2 bases, 9, and not close to 16. I'm doing pretty well, I think. Let's see, I've got 2, 3, 5, and then 2 bases, so I've got 7. I would need 10. All right, now I get to sabotage. The cool thing is only cubes can stop me from sabotaging. So this little syndicate guy who's trying to skim some money, he cannot stop me. So I sabotage every economic center and drastically cut the amount of money the government's going to get. That should help me and my allies, well, sort of allies, 26th of July. Also, all the government is getting is aid, which is 15. So I'll bring them to 35, pretty respectable. 26th July gets its number of bases. That's only 2, so up to 11. I get number of spaces. So, man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome. I am rich. And the syndicate gets nothing from the economic centers. That's good. So we're just getting double their open casinos, which is, again, 7, so that's 14. They are up to 33, but they need to be above 30 when the propaganda card comes, so we should be okay for now. Right now the government's going to skim where they control, so they'll take 2 there and 2 there, and that's it. So it puts them to 39, but they're about to lose their support, so everything's going to cost them 4 each, so that won't last too long. And the syndicate goes down to 29. I'm happy with that. But they're going to get cash in a second. So let's see. Syndicate's going to get 6 resources here because they can't open another casino there. And same thing here. So that's 12 resources. And same thing here. That's 18 more resources. And then as for me, I'm definitely going to build the free base over in Pinar del Rio. So Syndicate seems like the main threat right now. Let's see, they're at 39, 47 resources. Oh my gosh, they can just build all the casinos ever. All right, sadly, the Alliance goes down, so their aid is down to 5 each propaganda now. They can't airstrike at all, and every action we take will cost 4 per space. Yikes. And now they're going to spend a ton of resources to try to improve their support. So I said this before, but how it works is they have to control a space, and they have to have police and troops there, and then it's 4 resources. Each of the 4 resources they spend will either take away a terror, or if there's no terror there, it'll move the thing towards support 1. And they'll spend until they have just above 9 resources, so gosh, they could do it a lot here. So at 39, they could spend up to 28, so they can do up to 7 times. So let's see, they can do it there. They can actually do it here. Oh, no, I took away their control. Haha, no, they can't. So they can do it in city, and over there. So let's see, 7 times. 1 would be enough to make that all the way. 2, 3, 4 would be enough to make that go all the way. And then here they need to get rid of the terror. That'd be 5, 6, 7. So basically they can get all but 1 to passive support. So let's roll to see which one they go for. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so they're going to leave this one at passive support and make the other ones active support. But that does bring them down to 11 resources. Now note that with that, they're actually almost support enough to win, because they have to have all the cities active. They do. Right now they would have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 12, 19. Yeah, so if we suddenly got a magical 3rd propaganda card, the government could win. And of course the syndicate could too, so man, we got to take them both down. The government I'm not too worried about. They're going to be so poor, but the syndicate, they're dangerous. All right, 26 July wants to agitate, but they can't because they don't control anywhere. I can do a free rally. If I rally into Pinar del Rio, the troops will run away, and I'll be able to take out these casinos probably pretty easily. Mess with the syndicate. That seems good. All right, now the government gets to redeploy. Now they're going to have to leave the troops out of there, but they don't control it, so they can't send police in. Then they want police in every space that doesn't have any, but they have them everywhere. So they're just going to spread out the troops. Now, they can't go in there because they don't control it. So let's see, they want to have 2 each if possible. Oh, wait a second. Do they control this right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so actually, they can't go in there. Oh, man. Yeah, I paid to raise the support there, didn't I? Okay, so that means they would have spent it here, and that had terror. Yeah, okay, rewind a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, which means they'd have 12 money back, so they'd be at 23. So they can't place there either. So they're just going to even out the troops where they can put people. Now the reset, all the guys flip back. These special abilities get... Oh, man. I just realized, I think when they had armored cars, they wouldn't have done an event. They would have attacked, so I messed up that too, sorry. So we're going into a new campaign. We have all 4 factions eligible. The top card is Brax. We're going to have the government and then the syndicate go. So it says in the government's guide that they're going to choose to have the CIA train political police. They're going to place 1 police officer anywhere, and then add the lesser of +6 or aid to resources. And aid is 5, so they'll get 5 more resources. And they normally want to be in a space with troops, but no police yet. We don't have that, so we're just going to randomize it. So 3 and 1, and they'll be right in Havana City. And their resources go up by 5 to 28. Now those darn syndicate members are going to take a full turn. And I have left them with no guerrillas to protect them here where their casinos are, so they're going to try to recruit into there. So it only costs them 1, and they'll put 1 guerrilla here. And they're, like usual, going to try to put down some cash. They'll always pick a spot with no enemies, so there we go, but then they'll randomly go between these 3. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yes! Haha, they gave it to the gorilla with me. I think that guy is not long for this world. All right, so both of them are no longer eligible. Let's see what we can do this next turn. So the current card is Come Comrades, and our friends are going to go first. Ooh, they're going to place 3 guerrillas anywhere. That should help them to kind of expand out and take the fight to the enemy. And then I can choose to do an action, or let's see, I can wait for the next card. The syndicates can have the chance to go first, so I won't be able to stop them anyway. Meyer Lansky, wheeler dealer. With any space, transfer any cash among any gorillas or cubes. And master mobster. Syndicate relocates any casinos anywhere. All casinos open. What the heck? Well, I guess they'll be doing that in a second, but let's not worry about it yet. So 26 July is going to do their event and gets 3 gorillas. And it's just a random roll for each one. So it'll be Camagüey, the city, Sierra Maestra, and Havana. That's nice. So they got into 2 of the cities, like it. And they further shore up Sierra Maestra, so the government is definitely not in control there. So I think I'll do Terror and Assassinate over here to steal their cash. And the question is, do I want to do it elsewhere? I could do it in any of my places, but they're just opposition. I don't mind that. I could actually do it in Camagüey and move them away from having full support. But that would make my gorilla vulnerable, and they could just come in and destroy him instantly. Yeah, let's let 26 July do that. So sure, I'll just do it here. So 1 gorilla flips, the support goes away, we put a Terra token there. It is going to cost me 1 resource. And for my special activity, I'm going to go ahead and assassinate this guy, and I will steal his cash from one of my underground gorillas. Alright, we'll switch things up. Alright, so, now we've got a gray around here, which might mean they do something special or don't use this event. Alright, so this one's interesting. They say they want to move them from places with a single casino and no government control to places with already a casino in space. But here they're all doubled up, so I think they're going to do nothing except open up this 1 casino. So definitely not using the event well, but they only skipped the event completely if nothing would happen, and they did open up something, so I guess it works. Definitely good for me, because I can attack these ones in a second. The government's going to take a regular turn, and they're going to do their first option always is to train if they don't control a city, so there they go. Now, they train until there's fewer than 4 cubes available, so they can't get an even split this time, and they'll only train once, because then they won't have enough people left. It'll cost them 4, so we're down to 24, and they'll clearly go here, and that definitely gets them back government control. Now, normally they would try to build a base, but they've already got 2 of their bases down, so they're instead going to try to buy civic action in the place where they trained. So it costs 4 for each change, so they'll spend a full 12 to get it all the way to positive active support, which means they have active support in all of the cities. So it brings them all the way down to 12 resources, but it does mean they are set to win when the next propaganda card comes out, so hopefully 26 July will terrorize them in several spaces and make that go away. I mean, they could literally hit every city at the moment. And speaking of them, we are back. Let's see, we didn't see what was coming up. Okay, I have first chance, and then 26 July. And let's see, an insurgent faction, that could be me or 26 July, adds a die roll and resources, each other adds +2. We both have enough resources, so I think I'm just going to take a turn. Although the bummer is that means 26 July is going to do the event if I give them the chance. So this is a little silly, but I might do an op only with no special activity, no bonus, just to force them to take a regular turn and actually hurt people. So I think I'll do an attack action over here in Pinar del Rio. I'll have to expose everybody there. I'll have to roll a die and roll equal to or less than the number of gorillas because I can't do the special activity and do a free ambush. So I'll have a 50-50 shot of hitting them, but if I hit, I get to damage 2 pieces, so I'll flip over both these casinos. So it's only going to cost me 1 resource. If it doesn't work, I can just do it another turn. Of course, we're hoping it does work. Come on. No luck. Now, I could have attacked over here, but it's terrible odds. Same thing over there. Without the ambush special activity, it's not really that effective. But we are going to get a bunch of terror going on, which is what I wanted. They're going to terrorize in Havana and Camagüey City and in Santiago. It does cost them 3 resources, down to 8. So not only are all of these going to go to only passive support, but they're also going to each get a terror token, which will mean the government will have a harder time putting them back the next time they do civic action. Now, sadly, they don't exceed the police in any of these places, so they can't steal resources from them. They could have stolen from the syndicate, which would have been great. All right, we are no longer eligible. Back to our friends. Oh, darn, the syndicate is going to get a good event. Select a city, remove any opposition there, and place an open casino. Now, normally event ties are decided partially by how the support would change, but all 3 cities are all at passive support. But they can only fit a casino in Camagüey because both Havana and Santiago have 2 already. So they'll automatically put 1 there. And this is not good. They need to have over 7 casinos open. They have 8 currently. And then, of course, they have way more than enough resources. So if I close these 2 down, that'll take them just below their victory threshold. But still, they're really knocking on the door. All right, then the government will take a regular turn. And oh no, they've realized that I'm controlling all their economic centers, so they're going to garrison instead of sweeping for guerrillas. So how garrison works, if you haven't seen it yet, they only pay their cost once. So for just 4 resources, bringing them to 8, they'll be able to kind of move around a whole bunch. And basically, they can take any cubes they have anywhere on the board, but the cubes can only move to economic centers or cities. So first they want to move to equal guerrillas and economic centers. That's their first priority. And each time they want to take from the place with the most police first, if possible, and then troops if they can't move police. So this place has 5. That's the most. And then I guess these are tied. So either of them can send a guy there. Then they can send a guy here. And then all 3 of them are tied. So we'll roll for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so another police from here will equal us over there. Now they want to make sure they have government control in each place. So let's see, 5 versus 4, they're fine there. Definitely fine here. And here they've got 7 versus 6. So yeah, they're just 1 above in each spot. And I should say, whenever they move to the economic centers, they activate guerrillas for each cube that is there. So they're going to activate every single one of these guys. And then they get a free assault in any one EC they moved into. And when tied, like they are here, they're going to go for the one that will remove the most pieces. So they'll take out both my gorilla and the syndicate one in the economic center in the west. I love when they fight each other. So our current active card is the 12, and they'll have first crack at it. A faction free marches, then free rallies at a march destination. That'll be good. Get some more of my 26 allies on the board. And what else is coming up that I could select first? And what else is coming up? The government would have first crack at it. That gives them a special power. Sweep may free assault 1 space as a special activity. Oh my gosh, so they can like flip over guerrillas and then immediately attack them. That's terrible. But not much I can do to stop them, so I might as well take my turn after 26 July. So the free march 26 July usually would look for economic centers first, but because Che Guevara is in play and he makes the first march make all the guerrillas go underground, it's going to switch the order. So in that case, let's see, they want to go to Santiago de Cuba because they want to go somewhere that's government controlled. They're always going to leave 1 guerrilla where they're coming from, so we'll just move 1 guy in here and he's already underground. That does, though, take away government control because the syndicate has 3 and they have 4. Then they get a free rally here. And their first preference for a rally is to remove 2 guerrillas and place a base. So they'll take away the one who's activated first if they can. So there they go. They've got a little foothold here. Although, interestingly, by taking away 2 guys and putting in a base, they did give the government back control of the city. And as for me, let's see, I could attack those casinos again. I could also do an ambush somewhere around here. Yeah, it seems like a good idea. If I ambush here, I'll get another guy here, and I can ambush again next turn, maybe. And I can take out these cubes, and hopefully between both of us, we can eventually get to that casino. Yeah, so I'm just going to ambush here, where I'm already flipped, and over there. So this cost me 2 resources. These guys just stay flipped, but they can still attack. But I'm going to do the ambush first. So this guy flips. I automatically destroy 2 guys. Let's get rid of the police, since they stop me from assassinating and stuff. And then I do get to place a free gorilla. And let's see now. Yeah, so nobody controls that space. And over here, let's try our luck again. Come on. Darn it. All right, the enemies are back. And I've not closed enough casinos yet, so I hope a propaganda doesn't come up. Oh no, it is next. Oh man, I think this is going to be it then. Darn it. Maybe the government will somehow help me and close some of their casinos? Now, normally the government would always choose to activate the event, but they are smart enough to know that a propaganda is coming and it's going to immediately go away, so they'll just take a regular action. And they just want to regain control of their city. Oh, and also their base. I just realized they actually would have cared about getting control there, too. Well, in any case, they can spend 4 to go down to 4 left. And they can just recruit these guys. Let's see, they want to regain control, which will be either of these places, but they want to go to a place that's missing troops or police first. So they're all going to go to Camagüey City. That'll give them back control of it. And then they're not going to buy civic action because it would just remove the terror. They don't actually have enough money to increase the support. Oh, I forgot to do their special action again. Darn it. All right, so what they're going to do is transport up to 3 troops from a city to somewhere else. And it's where they have more than they need. So they're only up by 1 here. They definitely can't do it there. Same thing over here. So guess it would have to be here. See, there's 4 enemies and 6 of them, so they can transport a single troop and still retain control. So they want to go to a space that has more active guerrillas than troops. Which, no, they have more than there. I don't think the ECs count. So the only place would be over here to back up the casinos, jerks. And the syndicate will, I'm sure, do something terrible. In this case, yeah, they're just going to train some guerrillas to support their new casinos. So So that's 1, 2. And they'll place some cash. They'll be able to cash in immediately. And the first priority is a place that doesn't have cash. So it could be 1, 2, 3. All right, so if it's enough, let's roll randomly. All right, 3, 4. That is Matanzas. So they'll count down. All right, so the first one's this guy. And rolling again, although it doesn't matter because they're definitely about to win. We got Camagüey City. But we already have cash there, so it'll go to Santiago. And sadly, terrible timing before I could get that darn casino to close. If I just rolled better, we're going to go to propaganda. So we'll check victory for everybody, see how close we came. Government has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 support. 26 July has 3 bases out. Plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, just 5. So that would be 8, and they need 16 to win. I control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 population worth. And I have 3 bases out, so I have 8, and I needed 10, so pretty close. Oh, and actually do I still control over here? Oh, no, they tied me up, so never mind. And then finally, the clincher, the syndicate has 9 open casinos. I didn't manage to close any, and they needed at least 8. And they have 44 resources. They needed more than 30. See, I did not contain them enough myself, and no one else was really helping me. So that is it. The third propaganda card, the syndicate wins it. Remember, I could not have won unless I survived until the 4th propaganda. Now, if I had been able to hit them, I think I probably could have attacked enough casinos that I could have kept them on the ropes. But whether or not I would have been the closest to winning at the end, that's a kind of open question. But there you go, Cuba Libre. I hope you enjoyed it. This is considered the easiest of the coin games because the map is so small, but it's also supposed to be the most vicious, the most like a knife fight in a toll booth. So if you found this kind of stressful, some of the other games in the series might be more to your liking. Good gaming, everyone, and we'll see you at the next stop.